we're gonna talk about Rails authentication today, right? So you guys have already done authentication in Sinatra. You've already used the Bcrypt gem, right? Yeah. So it will seem familiar, but a little bit different, and probably a little. I don't think I've actually used the Bcrypt gem in Sinatra, but my guess is it will actually be a little bit easier, a little bit more built in. But I don't know, you guys will have to tell me. We'll compare notes after. So stuff we're going to cover today: cookies, sessions, flash messages. Where do they come from? Where do they go? You guys already know about this, but we'll talk about it in Rails specifically. We're going to talk about application controller methods, just methods you put in your application controller. Helper methods, before actions. We're going to talk about authentication versus authorization. Like, what do those mean exactly? And we're going to talk about treasure maps. Yay! So I made this little app that stores information about Flatiron School treasure. And right now, you can go to the dashboard. This is the dashboard. So you can go to a main page, localhost 3000, right? And you can sign up and you can log in. But these are like meaningless right now. They don't work. I didn't build out any functionality. So when you go to the dashboard, you can click on this thing that says treasure map, and you're like, oh, it's so easy. I can see where the treasure is. But joke's on you, because this is the decoy map. So we're gonna build it out so we can see what the real treasure map is, which is the main purpose of this lecture. Okay. So let me give you a quick tour of what I've built so far, because I already made like a lot of this, so we could like not talk about forms and just talk about authentication. So I did Rails new. We have a Rails app. Woo! I added the Bcrypt gem to my gem file. Is this visible? Should I change the theme to light? What was that? Yeah, maybe that would help. Give me a thumbs down if this is like impossible for you. Everyone's okay? Okay. So I've got, this is something else. I've got in my gem file, it actually just comes with the Bcrypt gem in there, so all you have to do is uncomment the Bcrypt gem. So that's pretty simple. Let's see what else I've got. So I ran a migration for a user. So I'll show you that. So I gave them something called password digest. Anyone got a guess what that is talking about?
It stores a hash, which Bcrypt will then unhash.
Yeah. So if I say Rachel equals user.new, Rachel.password equals cat, will the word cat be stored in my database? No. Yeah, right. Exactly. Cool. All right. We'll come back. We'll circle back to that a little bit more later. This will look different to you, this user model, because we have access. Let me find my models. We have access to this has secure password. What this is giving us access to everything the Bcrypt gem has already built. So any methods that we haven't built related to authenticating a user are coming from Bcrypt, right? And by using has secure password, that's what's opening up all the Bcrypt powers to our user. So when we authenticate our user, when we take the user's password that they've entered on login and actually check it and make sure it's right, all of that power is coming from having has secure password on this user model. Make sense? Okay, let's see what else we've got. Okay, so I already built some controllers, so I'll give you guys a quick tour of what's going on there. I'll close this for now. So I've got a user's controller, right? I have a create method here. It's not finished, but it's an average create method you guys have used 100 times to create a new resource. I also have a sessions controller. What's this all about? Anyone got some thoughts about this?
It's like a cookie that gets stored for your session when you log in, you're an authorized user. So you'll have that registered, it's passed back and forth when you try to access your information.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you log off, you want the session to be destroyed so no one else can hijack your session or just locks it out, basically.
Exactly. So we have the concept of a user, right? A user is created with an email address and a password in this example. Every time a user logs in, we're not creating a new user, we're creating a new session. So this session controller represents the actions related simply to logging in and logging out a user. And I can prove to you in my routes. I've got something called login, which goes to sessions create. And do I have a logout here? No.
There's sessions ID.
Oh, yeah. Which goes to sessions destroy. Cool. Thanks, whoever said that. So sessions controller handles logging in and logging out. Cool. And I've got one other controller that may look a little bit weird to you guys. I've got this static controller. As you guys saw in my migrations, I don't have like a resource called static, right? I don't have anything saved in my database called static. This is a controller that just takes users to pages. So you could imagine if you had a Rails app that like had an about page, you're not storing in your database like about title, right? It's just an about page. So you'd use a static controller just to render a static page that probably doesn't even need ERB tags. It's just rendering text. So I've got a static controller for my home page, for my dashboard, and then for my two maps. Make sense? Okay. Oh, and then I did build some views. You guys saw them when I pulled them up, so I won't spend a lot of time on them. But the main ones we'll work with are like I've got this login page. You can use emojis. If you go to view, this is a big takeaway. Everyone pay attention. Emojis and symbols. You can add them. And if you want them bigger, you make them an H2 or an H3 or whatever. Hot tip. So I've got my maps. And then my dashboard itself, which is going to render stuff based on whether you're logged in. Okay. And just to review, we have the login and sign up forms. Like you can pretend to log in, but nothing actually happens. You don't actually get logged in. So here are the problems with the app right now. People can see the decoy map without logging in. And the session ID isn't actually being saved when we create a new user. Cool? We all on the same page? Okay. So before we get down to business, I have some questions for you guys. Why are we using sessions? What do sessions do for us? What's the point?
So you can persist user from their cloud member website.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so that someone can pretend to be someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're in Rails, we have the request response cycle, right? Which means that our web application, basically every time we refresh the page, it forgets everything that ever happened before that, right? it has no idea what you clicked on before you clicked on this. It has no idea that you like logged in. It's not persisting information unless you specifically save information to be persisted, right? So if we didn't have sessions, anytime you wanted to see like information related to your user specifically, you'd have to like re-log in. It wouldn't be a super great experience. Okay, so how are sessions different from cookies? Doesn't save all your information. Kind of. I see what you're talking about. Like it's specifically related to logging in, right? Yeah, so we use sessions, and I actually like kind of forgot. I had done this lecture like a while ago, and I was like, I don't actually remember. This is a super great blog post. I'll share this repository with you guys, so you'll have the link. But this is like an excellent blog post that like I learned like 10 things from. So you should definitely check it out. Difference between sessions and cookies. Sessions is specifically related to your login. Cookies could be persisted. Cookies are like the generic saving of information. So you may have a cookie that saves information for 60 days or whatever, a year. It's fuzzy, it's broad. It doesn't have like specific parameters surrounding it because you could use it for anything. A session is specifically related to log in, log out, so it means like if I close out of this window, I want my session to be gone. So if I'm logged into my Rails app and I close Chrome, I don't want to still be logged into my Rails app. I want it to be logged out at that point.
So the sessions are still a form of cookie?
Yep, exactly. They, in 90% of functionality, act the same way. The difference is that it's specifically log in, log out, so it has like the expiration kind of built into it. Okay, next question. What about flash messages? Why do I keep even bringing that up? How is that relevant? Anyone got any thoughts? It seems like totally different from everything else we're talking about, right? It's like, why? Like, we can't be bothered with that right now.
This is like kind of the way when you try to resubmit a form, you get that flash message asking if you want to persist the data from the form in the previous iteration.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it uses the flash message to carry over information from one iteration of the same page to another.
Yeah, so it's like a cookie with a very short expiration date, which the expiration date is just the very next page that loads. Know what the flash message is. After that, you've forgotten. So if I log in and I get a flash message that says, you logged in, if I refresh that same page, it will already be lost, right? So it's like cookies can go on for a year. Sessions go on until you close out of your browser. Flash message goes on until you get to the next page. Then it's gone. Cool? Okay. We kind of already covered this one, so we can kind of skim over it. Log in, log out stuff. Okay, this one's kind of leading us into what we're actually going to be doing. But in relation to sessions, what actually like functionally makes somebody logged in when they submit something on a form?
They have a session ID is created?
Essentially, yeah, that pretty much covers it. We store something in sessions. It could be whatever we want, but often we use their user ID. And that allows us to check for ourselves with methods that we've built ourselves. This person is a user, and I know they're a user. I've already checked it against my database. They're free to look at any pages that require you to be logged in. So let's actually like get to that now. Let's stop talking theoretically and like actually build that out. So I've got a couple to-dos. The first one is I want to add sessions to the user creation and to the login. So I want to have sessions when I sign up for my app, like I want the functionality that as soon as you sign up, you're also logged in. And then I also want when you log in, you're logged in. So let's start with sign up. I think that one would be slightly easier. Okay. So can somebody just talk me through what's happening in this method so far, in the create method?
Looks like you're creating a new user, perhaps. If it saves successfully, then you go to the dashboard. If not, you get a cool owl that tells you it's not a valid user, and you go back to the
Exactly. So I'm looking for two new things here, which are just to add a flash message that says you're logged in, and to create a new session with this user's ID. So how can I get a volunteer to talk me through how I could do both those things?
Well, for the session, I think you could do session brackets colon ID.
Let me check. I think I saved it as user ID, but it could be, this could be whatever you want it to be, right? I could save this as sessions platypus if I wanted to, right? As long as I'm consistent about it. Is that? Yeah, it's at my own discretion what I save this key as. Because it's not exactly a hash, but we use it like a hash. So we're back in HashCabal. We're referring to this hash and we're setting the key equal to whatever the value is.
Well, equals that user.
Cool. All right. And how'd our flash notice? Someone else want to take it? You're logged in. Woo! Okay, so we think we should be able to actually just run this in the app now. I should be able to create a new user. So let's see. Oops, you're right. I'm gonna say ray@chell.com. Make my password 123. Sign up if you dare. Oh, guys, we're logged in. Check it out. Now we can laugh at everybody using the decoy map. But I'm not going to open the real map because we have to. Let's build out the login before we get to that. Just let's let the anticipation build. But here's our flash message, right? You're logged in. So if I refresh this, gone. Expired.
Why does it show up there instead of in a pop-up?
Why does it show up there instead of in a pop-up? Because I've made it that way.
Actually, regarding like the user session, like just created a form, wasn't that supposed to be like encrypted? Because it just like say like the user ID to the user session, but the user session is just like a string, right? It's not like encrypted before.
I did not encrypt this, right?
Yeah, just giving like whatever the string you have like the user ID. So
Right, like if the user is 10, it's going to be 10. Yeah, that's a good point. I believe, Tim, is this right? Is that it's encrypted by Rails, or is it accessible to anybody?
Yeah, if you pull it up in the browser, like we saw last week or so, you won't be able to read the user. But if you pull it up in the application.
Is it in... Value is blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it's just Rails did all the hard work for us there.
It is like converted as like a front end or?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's get rid of this guy. Okay, so let's get to that sessions controller, huh? So I want a create method because I'm not creating a new user, I'm creating a new session. Okay, so somebody just tell me, not in coding terminology, but just in regular words, what's my goal here? Somebody's filled out the form and then what?
You want to find they fill in an email, you want to find a user that has the same email, and you want to see the password.
Yeah, I agree. Great plan. Okay, so we've got a user, and we're going to find them. And in my app, I'm using email, but this could be anything, right? And then I'm going to just grab from my params. Let's see, it'll come through the user hash, I believe. Maybe I'll put a bybug to confirm that. But I'm just going to continue pseudocoding and then I think I'm just going to step through my code one by one. So let's say that I have something called params user email, for example, which is like a string of my email address. So let's assume I found the user. This is where I'm going to start using some Bcrypt magic with the authenticate method. I didn't make the authenticate method, Bcrypt made it. That's where it's coming from. And it needs just to take in the password, and it will do all the work of unscrambling the password and checking it against my password cat. It will give me just true or false. Is the user authenticated or not? Did I enter the right password or not? Thank you. And let's imagine if the user is authenticated, then what? Yep. Equals this user's ID. And I'm gonna need to take them somewhere, right? I've logged them in, but I also need to send them somewhere where once they're logged in. So I'm gonna check my routes on that one of where I want to send them. I think I want to send somebody to the dashboard. So what's the route helper I can use there? Okay, and otherwise, I want to give them another flash message, I think. That's like, hey, you logged in wrong. And maybe I'll just render the, what is it called? Home. Oh, I actually wonder if I have to do static /home. I kind of forget how that works. This might be broken, but we'll code it out and we'll debug it as we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is try and log in right now. And I'll just hit this bybug and check this part. That's sort of my plan. I'll just check the parts that I'm not super sure about, see how they go. All right. So log out. Oh shoot, what did I say? Ray. Okay. And I should. Haha. Okay. Let's check my params. Okay, so it looks like I've got something called params user email. Right. That's a thing, so I should be able to run this line, right? Confirming my suspicions. Okay, so I'm found. Cool. That's great. That's a good step. Let's try this part. Step 1 went so well. Let's see. What do I get? Okay. So this actually it didn't return true. It returned the instance again, which is truthy. It means true. If I did this, blah. So I'm giving it like the wrong password right now. Oops. It gives me false, right?
In your model, do you have to use password digest? Is that like a requirement of the code?
Yep. So you'll notice I'm referring to it like, if I created a new user, I would be referring to it as password. Like in my form, it's called password, and in my user controller, it's password. That's how I save it. So you can think of it like I'm saying Rachel.password equals 123, but by the time it's actually being saved in my database, it's the password digest. It's that whole string of gobbledygook stuff.
You think password dash?
No, it's password digest. Yeah. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so that's cool. We made it as far as the authentication and everything went well, right? So maybe I'll just hop out of the bybug and like try and log in correctly and try and log in incorrectly and just let's see what happens. Let's go for it. Okay. So I'm just gonna go back here. And I'm gonna try and log in. I was uncertain about how to render the static home, so I'm gonna first log in wrong and see if that breaks or not.
Do you kill the bug first?
I think I already did.
In the,
Oh, good call, yeah. So what I'm hoping will happen is I'll log in incorrectly and I'll get a flash notice and it will take me back to the login page again. I'm not certain this render is built out right, so we'll see. I'm gonna say password is dog. Undefined, undefined method user path. Did you mean user's path? This is in my sign up form. Oh, I think this is.
Like whenever you use like symbol, user has to test the instance as well, right?
The instance of the user? Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's a good call. That I think I might have another mistake in here somewhere, but I think that's a good call. Is that because my app is request response cycle, it has no idea that I defined what user was when I first rendered this page, right? So if I want to render this again, I have to like give it the user instance again because everything's been forgotten except for something stored in cookies, right? And my flash notice. I guess let's try that again, see what happens. I think it may break again, but let's see. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. That went surprisingly well. We logged in wrong. So the thing I wasn't certain about is with the render method, could I give it like a path to static /home? But it looks like I can, so that's really awesome. If you're rendering something within its own controller, you don't have to give it the full path. I could have just said home, but because I'm like going to a path that's outside of my views available to me in this controller, I had to give it the full path. That was That was the suspicion I was confirming right there. Okay, well, great. We logged in wrong, so like, let's log in right. 1, 2, 3. Log in. Yeah. Do you guys want to see the real map?
Yes.
Wait, I have the flash message is still there though.
Oh, gasp. Interesting. We logged in wrong. Huh. I wonder why.
Is it from when you did log in wrong?
I don't know.
Let me try refreshing the page.
Well, if it will definitely disappear now. Wait, should we try that again?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's try it again. We can log out. Okay. Ray. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it was
Try logging in wrong and then log in.
okay.
Right.
Okay, so log out. Okay, this is me logging in wrong. You logged in wrong. Okay, this is me logging in right.
Interesting.
You have to set the flash to no.
Oh, I think I have a guess.
Is it in the wrong order?
Redirect instead of.
No, that doesn't make sense.
I think you're onto something there. Cause are we? Is it because it's not a hard redirect? Is your thought right? Instead of we're just rendering it, we're not redirecting it. Is that why it still has the flash message there?
Maybe it's that.
That's probably it. So if we try this, what did I say it was? Oh, root path. If we do this, my guess is we won't have that like overhanging flash message. You guys all see like the hypothesis we're trying to prove here? Okay, so we gotta log out again. Ooh, this is getting juicy. This is getting good. Okay, this is me logging in wrong. And we got a hard refresh. This is me logging in right. Oh, that is cool. Okay, well, like we gotta look at the map now.
Could you do it without a redirect? I think somebody knows. Has a suggestion.
Okay, cool. I'm open to ideas.
I just found a stack version of it. If you wanted to also go away after a render and not just a redirect, you can use flash.now rather than flash.
Flash.now. Like this?
I think it's just the same syntax. No, just flash.now.
Like that?
No.
Like
Flash.now with the square brackets with what you meant.
notice dot now.
Oh, I see. Okay. Like this. Right?
I think yeah, I think it's directly after flash before the square brackets.
Take this out. Delete this. Press delete now. Like this.
Yes.
Okay, thanks guys. And let's change this back to render. Static / home. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Okay, so we're logging out. Okay, I'm gonna log in wrong. Okay, got our flash notice. Log in right. Oh. I got some tentative clappers in this class. Okay. Can we look at the real map now, though? This is what I'm doing. Okay. This is where Flatiron School treasure is located.
In your brain.
Oh no! Shoot! Darn it! I actually forgot that I built that in. That was a surprise for me too. Okay, so we have some more work ahead of us. Oh man, that was fun. Okay. Undefined method authorize user. Okay. Let's check out static controller. Have you guys used before action before?
Yes.
So what's it doing? Before what? Yeah, before it renders any of these. So before this runs, do this, right? Run a method called authorize user. Where's the authorize user method defined? Nowhere right now. Where should I put it? What file should I put it in? Yeah. Why? Why? Why do I want to put it there?
Every other control is having application.
Yes. So if I wanted to have a before action in a dogs controller that I add to this app, or in the spooky controller that I add to this app, I'm going to want to just use the same authorize user method in all of them. This is going to work the same every time. It doesn't matter what I'm rendering. I'm going to authorize people in the same way, right? So I'm putting it up here because then I'll have access to it everywhere. Wait, now that we're in here, there's this other method I already made called logged in. And it's a helper method. Why? What's that for? Yeah, is someone logged in? What is making it a helper method do?
Is it like you can access it like from anywhere, like even in your views?
Exactly. Yeah, if you're using one of these methods in your views, make it a helper method. I don't have a more robust answer than that. If you need it in your views, for example, if you're doing a check, if somebody's logged in, render hi person's name, then render that. If the person's not logged in, render please log in now, right? You could picture some checks you'd make in your views to check that. Okay, but we got off track. Authorize user. Okay, so we need a method. This was my comment of what I want in here. If a user is not logged in, redirect them and give them a flash message saying, hey, no way. And that's it. That's all I want to do. If they are logged in, then what? What will happen? Yeah, it will just continue on. They just won't get, where did it go? They just won't get bumped out here, right? They will just continue on to show them the map. So awesome, that's what we want to happen. Okay, so can somebody help me out with this? You don't have to know it all. You can just get me started.
Why are the double exclamation points?
Yeah, why? Has anybody used these before? It just turns a value into true or false. So I'm saying if there's, you guys have used it before to say not session user ID, so the opposite. This is saying not, which is turning it back into true. So session user ID is going to be a number, right? Which is a truthy value, but it's not actually true or false. So this is either going to be like nil or the number 10, right? That's the two possibilities. By putting not, it's going to equal true or false. Does that make sense? So if I run this method, I'll only ever get true or false. Okay, so if a user is logged in, what did we want to happen again? If they're not logged in.
Should we say exclamation mark?
Let's do it. If they're not logged in, and we want to redirect them to the root path. And I also want to say, hey, no way. Flash notice equals hey, no way. Okay, so let's test it. I'm gonna log out and make sure my authorize user method works. So I'm expected that if I log out and I try and go to / I think it's map. I better check in my routes. If I go to /real map, I should get redirected. So I'm gonna log out. I have no session ID. I go to /real map. Hey, no way, yeah. I'll just snap for myself there. Thanks, guys. Okay, so now I can log in again and go to real map. And this time we should actually really see the real map. I tricked myself before, but this time it should really work. Oh, yeah, you guys didn't see that coming, right? It's right there, right next to Ollivanders. I'm just gonna get out of here in case another class sees it. Okay, it's been a while since we looked at this thing. And we actually already checked off number 2. We just did it. We just redirected somebody who was not logged in, and we said, hey, no way, and we brought them back to the login page, right? Okay, so I just have one more task that I want us to do using that helper method called logged in that we just got to know really well. I just want to visually be able to see on the page here whether I'm logged in or logged out based on this. So if I'm logged in, I want to see a log out button, and if I'm not logged in, I just want to see the text boot in the nav bar. What do you guys see is what's a starting point here? What where am I going to start with this? What? Yeah, so we got to go into the views, right? And we're looking at layouts. How did you know it was going to be in the layouts? Exactly, yeah. Exactly. You notice that everything is consistent. The nav bar is the same across the different pages that I've showed you. So you can kind of make the guess that this nav bar is in the actual main applications layout, not individually being rendered for each view. Or if it were being rendered for each view, that would be kind of junky. Let's just consistently render it in the application. So I'm sure you guys have played around in the application.html. So here's where I was rendering those flash notices that were magically appearing for each flash notice. It has the key and the value, the name of the flash, and then the message itself. And I'm just rendering the value. So if I had 5 flash messages, I'd be rendering each string out one after the other, and each in their own div, so they'd be one on top of each other. Here's that nav bar that I'm working with. Here's the yield, right? So that's going to yield whatever sub page I'm going to, the home or the dashboard or whatever. So this is the stuff that's going to be consistent throughout my whole app. So the thing that I wanted to do, the last big thing I wanted to do was I don't want to just only consistently want to render log out. I want to have like, if somebody's logged in, render log out. If not, render boot. So what should I do? Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, you guys seem to all agree on this. Use that helper method. Which returns to me a truthy or falsy value, right? That's why also actually, that's why I put a question mark at the end of that method name. If you put a question mark, it like signals to other programmers this is gonna either return true or false. Okay, so if they're logged in, I just want to give them this li that says log out. Oops, and I don't actually want to render this, right? I just want this to be invisible Ruby. Otherwise, I just want to like render a string that says boo. And then I just have to end this if statement. Okay, let's confirm that that works. So let's see, I'm gonna log out. Boo! I'm gonna log in. 1, 2, 3. Log out. Okay, great, that works. Awesome. Okay, so we're drawing close to the end here. There's this whole lecture was supposed to be about authentication and authorization, but like we didn't actually really say those words too much. We were just talking about the ideas, right? So taking all of this stuff that we've just done as context, can you make some guesses? Like, what's the difference between authentication and authorization, or what do those words even mean? Maybe as a starting point.
I feel like authentication like verifies that you're using through password or whatever, whereas authorization tells you what you're allowed to access.
Yeah, that seems about right. So authentication, it's basically checking your password and your user's identity, right? Like taking the credentials you've given and making sure they're right. Finding the user who matches those, right? Authorization is actually using that like thumbs up you've gotten. Yes, I've authenticated somebody. And it's saying like, okay, now that I've confirmed that, I can have different limits on how much a person can see based on whether they're authenticated or not. So authorization would be using the fact that somebody's authenticated to give them a probably better user experience, right? A more, what's the word I'm looking for? Filled out. They've got more stuff. They've got all the stuff. Yeah. So that's all I've got for you guys. I would say, well, I'll push up the code that we've done. You can go through it and do it yourself, or you can just try and implement it in your own projects. Any questions?
Are we going to cover authorization in some future lecture?
Authorization, we covered it right there.
So authentication grants authorization in your app. So you don't have authorization until the app verifies who you are, and then authorization is allowed.
It's like gating certain aspects of your site.
It's like what?
Like the gating, like this
Yeah.
is only accessible to people who have a session.
That's a way better way to describe it than I did. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so authorization, I mean, we really covered it right here, right? all we're doing is limiting what you can see. That's really it. That's really it.
Cool. Now, just briefly explain again why you were going to authorize users just in the application controller rather than system controller or any other controller.
So we could.
All the other, I guess, controllers to say authorize user if we only have one user model.
Yeah, it's a good point, right? We're really only using this in one controller, so you're absolutely right. This could be a private method that we put in the sessions controller, or where were we? No, it was static controller. This would all work, right? The only reason, and you guys have probably seen that format when, if you use generators, it will use that to find a user, like for a show page or something. You've probably seen that. The reason I'm putting it at a higher level is because I'm expecting when I continue building out this app, I'm going to want to use this method probably in a lot of different controllers. If I were building Facebook, I want to make sure somebody's authorized when they go to their own profile page, when they're viewing this like index of like their friends' recent posts, when they're going into the page where they can like change their user settings. There's probably most pages that somebody goes to, except for like welcome to Facebook, log in here. I'm gonna want somebody to be logged in. So I'm building it here with the assumption that I'm probably gonna use this method across lots of different controllers.
Actually, this is more general. So you said like authorization, your session ends when you close your browser, right? But then how come when you do go to Facebook, usually you're already logged in?
Yeah,
Is that because they're not using sessions, or?
I think it is. I think what they've done is just given it some super long expiration date, so that you're never like demotivated from using Facebook because you're always logged in.
Right.
Yeah, but you could also picture like with a bank, they're also like hyper motivated to
That's
log
like
you
5
out.
minutes and it kicks you out.
Exactly.
I have a question regarding like the authentication. How was the scheme of authentication works? Do we have to create all of the permissions by ourselves, or does the database like controls that in adjustment to access all of the methods? Like what I'm trying to ask is, okay, like we have like power like user, admin, we have like regular users, so we have to create everything from scratch, or does the database have some kind of way of us accessing to determine like what kind of privileges like the users will have on our application.
So you're saying like if this is like if you have like the concept of regular users and then administrative users might be able to say
to create, delete, and hold on yards and the regular user only to view like those users. So how is it like handled by the Rails application?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to create all of that schema, which the admin can create, delete, update, the whole 9 yards, and the regular user only view, or is it handled by the database? Because I look at it, like there's some databases that used to do that. You only access it, but using Rails, I'm not sure. Because as far as the recommendations go, you have to do like all your recommendations like by yourself. You're not using recommendations like that come with the database. Right?
I think, and this is me making up this answer right now. If I were going to have the concept of an administrator for my site, I think for my users I'd have a column like admin, which could be true or false. And I'd make another method here called like isAdmin, and also limit what they're able to do, like are you logged in and are you admin, then you can like destroy another user or something like that.
So basically the all the issues.
Yeah. I mean, that's my answer I'm coming up with on the spot. Maybe there is, and I just haven't explored it. But if I were approaching this problem right now, that's what I would do. Anything else? All right, thanks, guys.